Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is Out of Bounds. My name's CJ Curry. I'm in a great mood today because we won. We won last night, or at least I won on PrizePicks last night. I hope that you did too. My Karis LeVert lock, it came through for us. He did go over his PrizePicks projected points. We'll talk a little bit about that going forward. But for right now, if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, leave a like, comment below. I love all your comments. The comments have been great. Continue to do that. I love interacting with you guys. I love getting into your heads and figuring out who you're playing on PrizePicks on a given night, who your favorite locks are, who your favorite overs or unders are. So continue to leave those comments below. I appreciate everything that you guys have done. We're growing slowly but steadily. And, slow and steady wins the race, as they say. So before we get into any projections, we have some news that we need to go over. So let's start tackling that real quick. Kevin Love, status for tonight, out. Impact rating 10. If Love is out, Larry Nance will continue to start. TJ Warren, also out. Foot injury, impact rating a 10. He's out indefinitely. If he's out, Aaron Holiday will be starting. Kawhi Leonard, big game last night. If you played Kawhi Leonard and you took the over, especially when that Paul George news dropped, you probably did pretty well with Kawhi Leonard. He crushed the initial projection of 46.5 points that they had for him. But he's going to be resting tonight, or so it seems. He's doubtful. His impact, a 10. Because the reason he would be resting is because of a back-to-back. So if he's out, then Paul George, who's been on fire, would get a huge bump in production. His usage would go through the roof. So Paul George over, looking like a fair play as long as Kawhi Leonard does truly miss tonight's game. Paul George, he's questionable with an ankle injury. He missed last night's game, which is part of the reason why Kawhi Leonard did so well. He's got right ankle soreness. If he's out and Kawhi's out, well, I don't know who that really helps out. We'll have to look at the PrizePicks boards and see how the projections are looking for these guys. But you could see someone like a Lou Williams getting a huge bump. I wouldn't mind playing Lou Williams and taking the over. I played Lou Williams last night and took the over, and he won me some money. We ended up being profitable. Christian Wood, another big name here. He's questionable with a knee injury, experiencing left knee soreness. If he is out tonight, then Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins, would likely start and be a good play. Evan Fournier, we haven't really seen a lot of him, or maybe not even any of him on the PrizePicks board so far for this NBA season. So him being out with lower back spasms, you could see Michael Carter-Williams. You could see Cole Anthony or Terrence Ross step into the starting lineup. We'll have to see if they're on the PrizePicks board. Otherwise, Marcus Smart, somebody we have seen on the PrizePicks board. Thumb injury, impact rating of a 9, right thumb sprain. If he's out, you might see more Jeff Teague. Darius Garland, his status is currently set to out with a shoulder injury. 9 impact out for Wednesday. Sexton would move to point guard, see big minutes. Sexton the other night with Garland out, I thought he was going to crush. He did not. He actually, I believe, finished under his PrizePicks projection, if I'm correct on that. If not, leave a comment below. Let me know if I'm wrong on that. Lauri Markkanen, we've seen him up on the PrizePicks board. He's considered out right now due to COVID-19. You'll see a tick up for Otto Porter and Williams, if that happens to be the case. The rest of these guys, I don't know that they will have a significant impact on anybody on tonight's slate. So I just wanted to catch you guys up on the news real quick. So without further ado, let's start getting into the board breakdown. By the way, we do these board breakdowns daily here on Out of Bounds. So if this is your first time here, this is a thing that we're going to do regularly. We've been doing it every night. We've had some success. People in the Discord chat, by the way, link down in the description below if you want to join the Discord chat. That's where all the PrizePicks action goes down. People in the Discord chat have been doing really well. Screenshots every night. People are winning. Last night, I happened to be one of those people, so I'm a happy camper today. But yeah, definitely join the Discord. That's an extension of what we do here on YouTube with this little PrizePicks community that we're building up. So very first guy we're going to talk about is James Harden. We definitely need to talk about James Harden. 55.5 is his projection tonight on PrizePicks. We're going to go over to Roto Grinders, filter out all positions except for shooting guard. We're using FanDuel projections. If you're new to this, FanDuel, PrizePicks, NBA scoring, exactly the same. That's why we lean on the FanDuel projections for all of our PrizePicks. Let's go ahead and also sort by fantasy points. Harden expected for 51.38 compared to 55 over on 55.5 over on PrizePicks. Huge under there. Love to see that. That could be an edge for us tonight. Harden again over on Fantasy Pros, 53.1. Liking the under on Harden. Liking the under so far. And finally, RotoWire has him as a slight over at 56.19 points. So two really like him under. One has him as a slight over. Let's look at his game logs real quick. Over his last few games, 43.6. We have a no-show there. 52.2, 51.2, 73.3. So, I mean, guys, I'm loving the game logs here. I'm loving the under on James Harden with his current projection of 55.5. Now, the 55.5, as we saw, Christian Wood could be out. So what happens with all that usage? What happens with all that production and scoring and all the other ancillary stats that go into Christian Wood, his rebounds, his assists, his steals, all that stuff? Well, they have to be absorbed by somebody, right? Maybe that guy's James Harden. Maybe it's Boogie Cousins. Maybe it's John Wall who benefits from that. But that's something that you need to definitely be aware of. But so far, game logs are looking pretty good as far as the under on James Harden. So I believe that is where I would go with that one. On the other side of that game, Houston and Indiana, we've got Domantas Sabonis. He's projected for 47.5 points. One of the better big men in today's league. Let's go over here and check out his stats on Roto Grinders. His projections, 46.96 points. Fantasy Pros. Fantasy Pros has him at 45.6. RotoWire, they like 46.07. So right around that 46, 47 point range for Sabonis. Let's take a look at his game logs. 43, that would be an under. 36, that would be an under. 47.7 would be a slight over. 46.2 would be an under. 37, obviously an under. So you kind of get the idea here with Sabonis. The projection might be a little bit high on PrizePicks for him at 47.5. I think I would probably lean toward the under based on game logs, based on his projections on other sites. So that's how I would see Domantas Sabonis. Christian Wood, as of right now, is still on the PrizePicks board. Just keep an eye on his status. He could be out for tonight's game, as we talked about. Let's go with the battle of the big men. We'll go Andre Drummond. He gets a rematch with the Orlando Magic. His projection tonight is 46 points. Over to Roto Grinders we go to see his projection there, 48.35. They like the over on Andre Drummond. And if you've been following the channel, you know that some nights Drummond be Drummond. I can't get Drummond right, though. I take the over on his projection. He underperforms. I take the under on his projection. He just crushes me. So I'm going to get it right one day. Mark my words. 42.1, though, over on Fantasy Pros. And finally on RotoWire, Drummond, a huge under at 37. I don't know that I trust that. Sometimes RotoWire is a little funky with their projections. So, I mean, 37 versus 46, a 9-point gap. Do we really believe that Drummond is going to go under by that much? I don't. I don't have any reason to believe that. But maybe his game logs tell a different tale. If you look at his last matchup against Orlando, he did put in 37.8 points, which would be a huge under. Maybe RotoWire is onto something. 21.2, huge under. 35.6, huge under. He's been under his last 3 games, but he does have 60, 59, 66, huge upside from this guy. So which Andre Drummond shows up tonight? He played 32 minutes in his last game against Orlando, but he didn't have a very efficient night. From a fantasy perspective, 37.8 is just not going to get the job done. Digging in just a little deeper on this game so we can try and figure out what's going on with Andre Drummond. Orlando is a 7-point favorite at home versus Cleveland. God, I don't know. This guy is just going to be a thorn in my side all season long until he starts to stabilize, till I start seeing some stable projections on him. Under on Andre Drummond? I mean, you tell me, Andre Drummond, over or under. I'm leaning toward the under for right now. But on the other side of the ball, we've got Nick Vuchevich, Mr. 20 and 10 every night. Solid guy for the Orlando Magic. He's projected for 43.5 points tonight. Yes, I'm a Magic fan. No, I'm not biased. The numbers speak for themselves. The dude's one of the better big guys in the league. So 43.56. So we'll say just 43.5 for Nick Vuchevich. On Roto Grinders, on Fantasy Pros, 44.1. And finally, RotoWire has him at 45.46. So that seems to be at least in the ballpark compared to the previous 2 sites. How did Vooch do against big Andre Drummond in the last game? Well, he did very well. He put up over 50 PrizePicks points, 47 in the game before that, and 35.5, a little bit of a down game, but 49, 36, 49, 36. So we talked about a pattern that seemed to be forming with Vuchevich. That pattern has been broken. It was a 30s, 40s, 30s, 40s, 30s, 40s. Well, then he went from 40s to 50s. So the pattern has been broken. I like Nick Vuchevich tonight for the over. 43.5 seems a little too light. And I think a lot of people are clicking the over on Vooch as well. I believe earlier in the day he was down at 41 points. So get in on the 43.5 over before it gets too high. It's going to keep climbing. I think more and more people are going to click the over on Vooch tonight. Enough about that game. We talked about Sexton a little bit. I said enough about that game, but I'm going to breeze through these guys real quick. We talked about Sexton with no Garland. Sexton fell short. This could be a bounce back game for Sexton. I expect him to have a better game than he did last time against Orlando. Aaron Gordon was priced pretty low last game. If I remember, PrizePicks had him somewhere in the mid-20s, 26-ish, and I clicked over on him, and he went over 26. Larry Nance, he's been playing pretty well without Kevin Love in the lineup. Has had some huge games. He might be a guy to consider looking into. Markelle Fultz had a down game last game against Cleveland. I took the under on him. It paid off. The under on Fultz was good that night. If you believe that this game plays out similarly to their first matchup, which was their last game, then you might want to go under on Fultz as well. He started off really hot this season, but has kind of tapered off in his last couple. Which brings us to the next game, the Washington Wizards versus the Philadelphia 76ers. We're starting off with Mr. Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal projected for 42 points tonight. Let's go over to the shooting guard category. Brad Beal, 42.54 over on Roto Grinders. If we filter over here on Fantasy Pros to shooting guards, we'll see Bradley Beal at 42.8. So a little consistency across the board so far. And finally, Bradley Beal, 39.48. So they like him to go under that 42. So 42, we saw him at 42 on Fantasy Pros. We saw him at 42 over on Roto Grinders. Let's take a look at the game logs right quick. 53.5 his last game, huge game against Brooklyn. 46.1 against Minnesota and 40.3 against Chicago. His very first game back in December was against Philadelphia, so we do have a previous game log there to fall back on. He played 35 minutes, shot the ball 22 times. 11 of those shots went in. He ended up with 43.9 PrizePicks points, which would put him over tonight. I think I like the over on Beal. What about you? I think I'll go over on Beal. Other side of the ball, Joel Embiid, big man, maybe the best big man in the league. 50.5 is his projection tonight. They love the over. That's a huge over for Embiid. 52.63. Love the edge there. 52.5. Again, we're seeing a little bit of a pattern here. 52, 52. And they like the under. But, RotoWire, they tend to be under on a lot of guys. Yeah, they're under. They tend to be under for whatever reason when we look at these projections daily. I'm not buying it. I think this is a very real possibility that he goes over his projection tonight. Let's look at the logs. 47.2, 42.8, and 40.8. So you can kind of see why maybe RotoWire is under on Embiid. His last game against Washington, he put up 48.8 points, which would also put him under. So he's only exceeded 50 one time, 61.2. Tricky. Is there anything else we can look at here? 119 to 112 is the implied game total, the spread. I don't know. On Embiid tonight. He's got a pretty good, they call this defense versus archetype rank. So he's considered to be a versatile big. So this looks good. He's on a, as far as rest goes, he's on a 2 games in 3 nights type of rest schedule here. So, this could be one of those situations where you do take the under, but it looks like not a lot of sites, but 2 out of the 3 sites like the over. Enough on Embiid. We don't talk enough about Russ. Normally, I usually try to hit one player from each side of each game. Let's talk about Russ, though. Russell Westbrook, going over to the point guard position, he's projected as the top scoring point guard on tonight's FanDuel slate, 49.74. Is he Russell Westbrook the third now? When did that happen? He must have had a baby. That's right. He did have a baby. That's right. 47.3 over on Fantasy Pros. And RotoWire likes him at 45.93. So everybody's everybody's under. Everybody's under on Russell Westbrook. Game logs real quick. 49, nothing. 48.5, 52.5, nothing, 52, and then 50. This dude's a triple-double machine. Any given night, he can put up a triple-double. Go back to December 23rd, his first game against Philadelphia. He put up 50.7 PrizePicks points. I like that. I like seeing that. I think 50 is a pretty. I think it's a pretty on-point projection for Russ. I think maybe going over here. Let's go over, because he's like 50 point plus upside in his game logs, like for multiple games, right? So I don't mind the over on Russ. Let's skip ahead to the next game, though. We've got the 76ers. Ooh, my bad. We've got the Hornets. The Hornets and the Hawks. The Hornets and the Hawks. Who do we want to talk about from the Hornets? I think we're going to go Gordon Hayward today. Gordon Hayward is projected for 38 points. Do they have him listed at small forward? Yes, they do. 38 points. So 37 would be an under for Hayward. 39.6 would be a slight over. So these projections are a little torn on Hayward tonight. And then finally, 35 on Hayward. That would be a slight, that would be a pretty big under actually on Hayward. So let's look at the game logs and see if we can get a better picture. 34.6, 50, a huge 50 burger, and then 19, 23, 48, 34, 43. Has he faced Atlanta yet this season? He has not. So we do not have a previous game log of Gordon Hayward versus the Hawks. But as you can see, he's been kind of a up and down type of guy. That just leads me to not really trust him. Most nights he's in that, that big 30 to 50 point. I mean, that's just too big of a gap. This guy's pretty volatile. Honestly, this will probably be a situation that I would like fade him unless you have, a hunch of some sort on Hayward. Trae Young, Ice Trae, I've talked about in previous videos. Clicking the under on Trae Young has worked out more often than not for me. Let's see if it might work out again. Roto Grinder seems to think so. 45.72. Over on Pros, 45.2. So we got two 45s here, which would be good unders on Trae Young. And then 44.95. So that's three sites that have Trae Young as a huge under. But do the game logs agree? 49.4 would put him over. 32.8 would be a big under. 40.5 would be a big under. There's 48.7, 38, 51, 50. So you kind of get the idea here with Ice Trae. I'm going to keep clicking the under. It's been working. I think it can work again tonight. The projections seem to agree on under for Trae Young. Not really going to get into Rozier or Collins. It looks like they've kind of come down on Rozier. They had him priced at projected at like 30 to 35 PrizePicks points early in the season. I think the projections are starting to slide down and tighten up on a lot of these guys, making it more and more difficult for us to find an edge each night. They're getting smarter with more games played, more data to look at. So Terry Rozier probably projected pretty nicely here. John Collins, not interested in. Ball, Capella, meh. I'll let you guys do a little independent study research on those guys. Let's talk about Jason Tatum, though. Projected for 45 tonight against Miami. Boston and Miami, two of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. Jason Tatum, I've been seeing a lot of unders in the projection on Jason Tatum this season, so I've been, trending in that direction with the unders. Guy just keeps smashing. Every time that it seems like an under on Jason Tatum night, he comes out on top. So let's see where they like him tonight. Over on FanDuel, I guess he's listed under small forward. He is. Here we go again. Another scenario where Tatum's up at 45 on PrizePicks, but Roto Grinders likes the under. Let's check Fantasy Pros here. They like the under as well. They're at 43 on Tatum. And RotoWire likes the under as well. They're even lower than the previous two sites at 41, almost 42 points on Tatum. So that's three unders. Normally when there's like three unders and it's, the stars align, it's like going to the casino and you pull down that handle and it's like 777 and, hopefully a bunch of money, pours out of the slot machine and into your lap. That's how I look at these projections. When I see three different sites that have, all unders on this guy, I'm hoping to pull that lever and just cash. Straight cash, homie. So 55.2, 57.6. That's my concern with Tatum, right? I mean, you take the under on a projection of 45 and then he does stuff like that, 55, 57. But then he's got those nights where it's like, 41, not bad, but not 45. 28, huge under. He goes over here, 43, 35. So, you'd like to see more consistency out of the guy, but man, he's undoubtedly their best player. I have a hard read with Tatum, and you can see why based on his game logs. If we look at how these games stack up here, it looks like Miami is a 3-point home favorite. So this game should stay close. It should stay competitive. In that case, that makes me want to lean more toward Tatum being over, hoping that he gets a full run of minutes. He's projected for 36 tonight. So the projections don't agree. They all like him under. I kind of like him over, but, I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. You tell me what you think. Bam Adebayo, projected for 42. Miami's big man in the middle. I think he's listed at center over on FanDuel. He is. They've got him at 40. Fantasy Pros has him at 40. A lot of consistency today, huh? I'm kind of liking that. And then they also have him at 40 on RotoWire. So 40, 40, 40 across the board, which would be an under on Bam. We don't have a previous game log on Bam versus Boston. I believe this is the first time. Yes, it is the first time he'll meet Boston. So previously, though, 34.6, 44.2, and 53 if we just look at his last three. So he's went over his projection tonight twice out of his last 3 games. Again, this game should stay close. If you are worried about Bam versus Boston, take the under. But, this is another guy who's supremely talented and has the upside to get over 42 on any night. So a lot of guys up for this Boston-Miami game. Huge board today. So we're going to keep it moving. Get to our next game, which is the Utah Jazz and the New York Knicks. We did Rudy Gobert in the last video. Let's switch it up. Let's go Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, young player, very, very talented. This season, I've been clicking the under on Mitchell most nights. He is playing a back-to-back. Hopefully you guys cashed in on the Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell promo that PrizePicks was running last night. It paid out a little bit of a bonus. So hopefully you took advantage of that. He's projected for 38 tonight on a back-to-back. Let's filter out all the other positions so we can get down to shooting guard. 37.3 on Roto Grinders. Wow, he's down here. Sorry, I had a hard time finding him. 34.5 on Fantasy Pros. And finally, RotoWire. RotoWire has him at 35. Okay, so most sites have the under on Mitchell tonight. Let's look at game logs real quick. Utah, New York, first time they're facing off this season. No previous game logs there to look at. 38.8. He was a slight over on last night's projection. 36.3, 22, 34, 29, 42, and 32. So he's kind of in that, low to mid 30s range, I think is fair to say on most nights. I think that tonight, this 38 might just be a little too high. And if people are clicking his name, I think they should be clicking the under on Mitchell tonight. That's where I'm going with Donovan Mitchell. The other side of this game, we don't talk about RJ Barrett a whole lot. Normally we hit Julius Randle. Let's go RJ Barrett, do something a little different. Projected for 32 tonight. Barrett, he is listed at not shooting guard, small forward. Small forward on FanDuel. His projections at 33.17 tonight. Go over to the Fantasy Pros. RJ Barrett, 31.8. And finally, Barrett, 35.65. So they kind of seem to be all over the place with RJ Barrett. I'm going to take a look at his logs. 52. And this is why I wanted to talk about RJ Barrett, because this guy's got upside. This guy's got the ability to come out and put up a 52, to put up a 42. Now, more nights than not, he's not going to do that. I mean, most nights he's going to be in this 30-point range, 33, 27, 27, 34. He's going to be in that 30-point range. So I don't like what I'm seeing in his logs. Too much inconsistency. But I do like all the minutes he gets. I just wish that the usage was a little bit higher, that he was doing more with those minutes. So his projection tonight, 32. I'm going to probably take the under on Barrett, but it's going to be close. He's one of those guys that, it's going to be right around that 32 to 35 point range. So let's move on here. We're getting toward the end of the board, which means we're getting to the end of this video. We've got the next game, which is the Detroit Pistons and the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, 54 points is his projection tonight. I believe he's at power forward on FanDuel. He is. They like the over by quite a bit. 57 points. 58 points. And finally, 54. So they're kind of right on the money on that. So 2 for the over, 1 for the under on Giannis. Open up his game logs. 59, 65, 64 in his last 3 games. This is his second meeting against Detroit. He actually played against Detroit and mopped the floor with them for 59.8. So he's got that 60-point upside against the Pistons tonight. Played 36 minutes. That's what we want to see. 36 or more minutes out of these guys, especially these ones that are priced, or I keep saying priced because I'm used to, those other DFS fantasy sites. But anyway, we need him to play as many minutes as possible to hit his projections. So everybody likes the over. I like the over on Giannis as well. The over on the 54 is looking good. Who do we want to talk about on the other side of this game? Oh, which one of these fading stars do we want to talk about? Let's go Blake Griffin. That's a name that you haven't heard a whole lot of since his move over to Detroit. And while we're on the category of power forward, we'll hit Blake Griffin's name real quick. 26.76. He is 28.4. And over on RotoWire, he is 26. So everybody's under 30 on Blake Griffin. I like it. What do you guys think? I like the under on Blake Griffin. It's looking good compared to other sites. And his game logs tend to agree. He hasn't broken 30 but one time. One game, 45.2. The day after Christmas. Most nights he's been in that 20 to 25 point range. So I mentioned him as a fading star. Well, we all get old. Father Time is undefeated, and it looks like he's going to get the best of Blake Griffin as well. No previous game log, though, against the Bucks, but I like Griffin as a solid under based on other sites that we're seeing. And finally, we've got one last game here, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans. Some interesting names that we're going to get into. Probably going to start it off with SGA, the guy's name that I cannot get right for the life of me. 37. Now, SGA's been one of those guys where I expected a lot more from him this season with, the likes of Chris Paul, Danilo Gallinari no longer on the team. I thought SGA is going to step up. This is going to be his team going forward. He's going to absolutely crush. Hasn't really happened all too often for SGA. So here we have SGA. He's projected at 37 tonight. Pretty on point with what PrizePicks has him at. 38 here. And finally, we've got him at 39. So 37, 38, 39 on the 3 sites we like to reference. Puts him right in that window of 37 to 39. So he's going to be a tricky one to try and figure out. But if we look at his game logs, that would be a big under. That would be an under, an under, an under. I like the under. I'm going under on SGA. and that's been working out pretty well. Zion is another guy who PrizePicks has been high on most of the beginning of the season. He's now down to 40 PrizePicks points. They seem reluctant to put him under 40. Don't let that 40 number scare you, though, on Zion Williamson, because his game logs indicate a lot of the time he's not a 40-point guy. Now, he's projected here on Roto Grinders at 39. He's projected for 35, which I tend to believe is maybe more on point. And finally, they've got him at 33. That might be a little too low. That might be a little too low on Z, the Z-Man. Let's look at his game logs, though, real quick. 42. Okay, so that would put him over. But how many times has he actually went over 40, right? Let's look. That's an under. That's a huge under. That's a huge under. Over, over, under. So 3 times he's went 40 or more. 3 times he's went 40 or more. His last game against OKC, 16.5 points. That's ugly. But he only played 17 minutes. So I don't think he plays just 17 minutes once again. I think he gets, 20, 30, somewhere in that range. But I still like the under on him. And I think most sites agree the under on Zion is the way to go. One more guy we'll talk about here before we get to my lock of the night. I'm going to put all of my money down on this last guy, not Brandon Ingram, but the guy coming up. Brandon Ingram, 41.5. He's listed at, he's moved to power forward, I guess. Nope. What? Where is he? Interesting. He is a small forward. Why can I not find him? Oh, I was scrolled down. Silly me. Sorry, let's get this back on track. 41.5 on Roto Grinders. Brandon Ingram is projected at 39, so they're a little under. And RotoWire likes Brandon Ingram for 34. They've been really low on Brandon Ingram, which is puzzling. 41.5 seems doable. Let's look at his game logs, though. 55, way over 41.5, right? 44, well over 41.5. He did have a down game, back-to-back down games here. But 50, 30, and 60 going back to the first 3 games of the season. So these recent logs of 44 and 55, I like the over. I like the over on Brandon Ingram. And he did have a previous matchup against OKC, only put in 34, but let's hope he's turning the corner here and that these 40-plus point performances are quickly becoming the norm for Ingram. I like the over on Brandon Ingram tonight. So it's that time. I nailed it yesterday with Karis LeVert over. I said if Kyrie Irving and the not the New Jersey Nets, if Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets happen to pull away and build a big lead, Kyrie could get benched early in the game, and Karis LeVert would take over and run wild. Well, he did just that. So, humble brag for me there. I got Karis LeVert right. Now, all the pressure is on me to get this next guy right. So, the guy that we're going to talk about, because I'm an Orlando Magic fan, we are going to go with Aaron Gordon. He's going to be my lock of the night. Now, let's dig deep on Aaron Gordon and figure out if the over or the under is the way to go. Aaron Gordon, listed at power forward, I believe, on FanDuel. He is 29.91. Aaron Gordon's projected at 26.7. And Aaron Gordon is projected on RotoWire for 29.71. So under, and under. I kind of agree with that. I think that he has upside. What the heck? Who is that, guys? What happened to Aaron Gordon? Oh my God. I don't know what to say. That's not Aaron Gordon. That's not Aaron Gordon. I don't know who that is, to be honest. I am a Magic fan. I don't recognize. I mean, that's not Dwayne Bacon. Who is that? It's like Reggie Jackson's cousin or somebody. I mean, I don't know who that is. Anyway, Aaron Gordon's projection of 31 tonight. Let's look at his game logs. 38, 30, 11, 24, 15, 32, 39. Okay. So he's been up. He's been down. His minutes have been, I mean, under 30 a night, right? You don't like seeing that. So the under on Aaron Gordon is the way that I'm leaning. 39.7 against Cleveland, his last game. It was a great game for AG. I don't think he does that again, though. I don't think he does that again. I'm going Aaron Gordon for the under, guys. Aaron Gordon for the under for the win. I might be wrong. If I am, leave a comment. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. I want to hear what you think about Aaron Gordon. Is AG going to take flight, or is he going to lose 2 dunk contests again? What do you guys think about Aaron Gordon? That's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for making me part of your day. I appreciate everything that you do, your subscriptions, your comments, your likes, your shares. You're everything, man. You guys are the reason why I do this. I want to make this channel all about you. So let's hope that some of these picks work out tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, I'm CJ Curry. This is Out of Bounds. We will see you later. Let's win some money. Peace.